What's up, everyone? Welcome into a fresh hour of CBS Sports HQ. I'm Jacqueline D'Agostino alongside Amanda Guerra. Amanda, we're going into week 10 of the NFL. It is hard to believe. The playoff picture kind of coming into focus, still some things to shake out. But if the season ended today, the Chiefs on the outside looking in, although it doesn't really feel that way, it feels like things are going to change very quickly.
Yeah, not only do people think they're still going to win their division, they think they're going to win the AFC. And in fact, we're going to show you the Super Bowl odds here in a second. So take a look at the playoff picture, where things stand as of right now. We're about to talk to Bryant McFadden, Pete Prisco, get what they think is going to happen, who are going to be their one seeds. As of right now, it would be the Colts and the Eagles. And then look at that. How about Buffalo and the Steelers going at it, the Rams in Green Bay. But as you mentioned, Jacqueline, a lot can change. So you also mentioned that the Chiefs would be on the outside looking in. According to the Super Bowl odds,
they don't care.
They're going to win the Super Bowl. As of right now, the Chiefs are sitting at plus 600, followed by the Bills at 700, the Eagles, and then the Lions sitting at plus 850. So let's do some playoff predictions. Welcoming in Pete Prisco and Bryant McFadden here. Let's start with your one seed, guys. Pete, who would be your one seeds right now? Or who do you predict will be the one seeds?
Well, my one seeds would be the Eagles and the Bills. That's who I think will be the one seeds. I think the Eagles right now, when you look at their division, it's kind of gone in an opposite direction. I thought the Cowboys would be more competitive. I thought the Commanders, and they don't have Jaden Daniels, would be more competitive. Their defense is a disaster. So I think they're going to roll to the one seed in the NFC. And by the way, they've made some really good moves to fortify the defense. So I do like where they're heading, and I think they're playing better football. So they'll be the one seed. And I think the Bills will end up being the one seed in the AFC. Their schedule is not tough the rest of the way. We saw what they did last week against the Chiefs. I know they have another game on the road against New England. That could be a big game, obviously, for both those teams. But I think they're the best team. And I thought they were before the season, and I'm starting to believe it even more now after what the defense did last week.
Well, I love that me and Pete see this differently. For the NFC, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and here's why. They're currently 6-2, and when you watch them play and you look at the injury report, you're like, how in the world are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 6-2? Well, they have done a great job in coaching, and they have gotten great production from some unsung heroes on their team on both sides of the football field. But I like them to finish out on top potentially as we see the playoffs right now, because they will get healthier. That's the thing. They will get healthier. When you look at being 6-2 now with missing some of their key pieces, what this team will look like when they're healthier, it will be amazing to see, along with what they've done, seeing what Baker Mayfield has done in the offense. And then when you look at the AFC, I'm keeping it within the same division, Pete, but I'm going with the New England Patriots. They're currently 6-2, and when you look at what Drake May has done, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the AFC. Each week he's gotten better, he's been more consistent, and you can tell he's got total command on this offense. But I really love them because of what they have going on the rest of the way when you look at their schedule. They have one of the easier schedules out of the entire NFL. You talked about that game against Buffalo. That will be in New England. No question. You have a game at Tampa. But then outside of that, Pete, you look at the Jets, Cincinnati, the Giants, the Jets again, and the Miami Dolphins. Like I said, that is a favorable schedule for a team that already has a game in hand over the Buffalo Bills. I think this is a great opportunity for them to finish number one in the entire AFC.
I think the Patriots actually have the easiest remaining schedule, if I'm correct. And then when it comes to the Bills, they have the 11th easiest. By the way, the Patriots and the Bucs play each other this weekend, so that's going to be a good test. Since you guys have both completely different answers, do either one of you have strong feelings about the other's answers? Like, Pete, do you completely disagree with him, or BMAC the other way around?
No, and he made good points about the Patriots in that schedule. I mean, that is favorable, but I just think the Bills' schedule is favorable too, and I think they'll beat them next time they play them. That's why I have them as the one seed. Heck, they could end up being, 1 and 2 in terms of record, but obviously they're not going to be the 2 seed. So I don't have any problems with that. And he's right about the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs were another team that I considered for this exercise as well. So I have no qualms with his teams at all.
And I agree with Philly. I like Philly in terms of the move they made right before the trade deadline. Players that were instantly improve their team. So I love that element, especially improving the defense. And one thing I would like to hit on, when you look at who Pete predicted to be the #1 seed and who I predicted, Amanda, neither one of us selected the Colts. We didn't even give the Colts any tribute with them having the best record currently in the AFC. And I think the same could be said for me and Pete. We still don't totally trust the Colts. There's something about the Colts that we don't really fully believe they could find a way to win this division. We have to see how it plays out, but that's a surprising thing when you talk about I didn't pick the Colts and Pete didn't pick the Colts either.
And neither one of you picked the Chiefs, although their record is not nearly as good as the Colts. So you mentioned this. People may not trust the Colts entirely. What are some other teams that you can't trust when it comes to the playoff picture? B-Mac, I want to start with you because this is the team that Pete has picked for like the past 5 years to go to the Super Bowl. You don't trust the Packers, B-Mac.
I don't trust the Packers at all right now. The Packers, Amanda, Pete, they might be one of the more confusing teams in the National Football League. They're currently sitting at 5-2-1, but from week to week, you don't know exactly which Packer team you will see. They have too much talent on either side of the football field to be so inconsistent. I don't understand. I mean, you look at losing to the Cleveland Browns on the road, right? That was a surprise. And then the very next week, you tie with the Dallas Cowboys. We know the Cowboys can score, but one would have thought you had the pieces to get the necessary stops that you needed to get to be able to win that ball game. Then you had a 4-point win on the road against Arizona. Remember, you had to come from behind late in the fourth quarter to win that ball game. And just a week ago, you lose to the Carolina Panthers, a game in which your offense with your elite-like quarterback didn't put enough points on the scoreboard. So when you talk about the talent, you don't question the talent. It's about the production in terms of being consistent. That's why I don't trust the Green Bay Packers based on what we've seen halfway through the season. And then when I transition to the AFC, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, Pete. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. You barely got through last week against the lonely Raiders, right? So just the inconsistencies that I mentioned with the Packers, they're associated with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But for me, the most important thing that makes me not trust the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm not trusting Trevor Lawrence. We thought with Liam Cohen coming over from Tampa, Trevor Lawrence would be the best Trevor Lawrence we've ever seen in a Jacksonville Jaguars uniform. Well, it hasn't came anything close to being that. He's only completed 59% of his passes. The only quarterback in his division that has a worse completion percentage is Cam Ward. He's only 2 points below him at 57. 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Trevor Lawrence has been one of the more, disappointing quarterbacks in the AFC when you talk about the expectations. And now they may be without Travis Hunter for a period of time. I don't know. They're in the playoffs right now, and I'm not saying I don't think they can get into the playoffs. But in terms of trust, no, I don't trust the Jacksonville Jaguars at all.
I'm with you. That was my pick as well. I don't trust him either. And you mentioned Trevor Lawrence. That completion percentage, by the way, a little misleading considering he leads the league in drop passes. And if you get those catches, he's up in the 60s and mid-60s. So it's a little misleading. He hasn't played where I thought he would go with Liam Cohen either, by the way, B-Mac. I think there's some inconsistency there. They're sloppy. They have a lot of penalties. They have those drops. There's, a ton of injuries. And I think that's impacted them in a big way. Travis Hunter, who knows how long he's going to be out. He might, not play again. Who knows? But the reality is, I think they have major problems, and I don't see them being a playoff team if they continue to play the way they have played. Having said that, their schedule softens in a big way while the Colts schedule goes in the opposite direction. So there is some chance if they can put it together. And the team I don't trust in the NFC is the Lions. And the reason I don't trust the Lions, that defense. And we saw last week, they gave up some plays to J.J. McCarthy at home. But more than that, they didn't handle the pressure that the Vikings threw at them. All of a sudden, an offensive line that's supposed to be one of the best in the league isn't that anymore. And they have some issues in the interior of that line. Now you have a guy hurt, Mahogany. You also have a center that hasn't played very well. I think the Lions are concerning to me when you look at the way they played in certain parts of the season. And I do think the offense is good, but they better pick it up on defense.
Okay, so this is really interesting. You don't trust the Lions, and BMAC doesn't trust the Packers. And the next thing we asked you guys were for some dark horses. And sure enough, you guys are picking the opposite teams there. Pete, you're going with the Packers. BMAC, you're going with the Lions. Pete, we'll start with you. Who are your dark horses, the Packers, and who else?
Well, when I talk about the Packers, one thing I want to say is BMAC's right. They've been inconsistent. They don't know how to win against bad teams or play good against bad teams. You know why? They're the second youngest team in the league. And when you have a lot of young players, the inconsistency is going to show up until some point when they figure it out. And last week was a perfect trap game. They went to Pittsburgh, beat the Steelers, beat their former quarterback Aaron Rodgers, come back, and they have a big Monday night game this week with the Eagles. Classic trap game. And sometimes you can't get out from underneath it when you don't play very well, and that's what happened to them. So I do believe in them. I think, like BMAC said, the talent is still there. I think there's one of the sneaky teams that could definitely make a run in the NFC. I picked them before the season. I'm not wavering on that at all.
And for me, my NFC dark horse is the Detroit Lions. And you look at the current playoff seeding, they're at 7, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're the 7th team in the NFC. And yes, the injuries have really hurt them on the defensive side. But the thing I love, Pete, some of those guys they're missing in the secondary, they will be back, right? And if they're back in the saddle, that makes the entire defense better, especially the guys that put pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. And then offensively, they found their rhythm. Johnny Morton has really found his niche in terms of calling plays to get the best out of Jared Goff, in terms of getting the best out of the entire offense. I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. And if you're telling me the Detroit Lions, as we see it right now, if they're the 7th seed in the NFC, that's the one team you do not want to face in round 1 because of their talent and the experience, and like I said, potentially being healthier than what they are not right now.
Let me ask you guys, look, we started off this segment mentioning the Chiefs, that they would be on the outside looking in right now. However, they're still the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl. Where do the Chiefs line up for you, Pete, when it comes to the postseason?
Oh, I think they'll be there. And if they get in there, they're going to be dangerous. Now, it's going to be different. I mean, they might have to go out on the road as a wild card team. And if you go out on the road as a wild card team, they haven't done that. That'll be definitely different for them. But look, when they get guys back healthy and everybody's starting to get back healthy, I think when you look at it from that standpoint, Mahomes is going to get the ball down the field. The defense can really crank it up in the playoffs. They're as big a threat as anybody in the NFL. I just think they're going to have to do it differently this year because they're probably going to have to go out on the road as a wild card team.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You talk about the Chiefs currently sitting 3rd in the AFC West. It's just about getting healthier and finding ways to win ball games. That's the thing. That's the difference between this team currently and then compared to what we've seen in years past. 1-possession games they have lost. Years past, they found ways to win those said games. And then we look at their schedule, coming off the bye, you got to travel to Denver. You have the Colts. Thanksgiving, you have Dallas on CBS. And then you have Houston, the Chargers, Denver, and the Raiders, and, of course, Tennessee. So you have 3 important divisional games that you need to take care of along with the other games that I mentioned, because right now you're fighting from behind and you will need some chaos to happen in front of you to pave the way for you to get into the playoffs, because it's going to be a sticky race. And with them losing some winnable games earlier in the year, potentially, if they don't take care of their business, Pete, those games could come back to haunt them if they're on the outside looking in once the playoff starts.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. November is by far their hardest month. Guys, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you very soon. Getting ready for Week 10 in the NFL, taking a look at the games you can see on CBS. Jack, I love that right off the bat we're getting Patriots and Bucks. I think that game is going to be so interesting and so telling.
Yes, I'm excited as well, although in the playoff projection right now, we saw it was the Jags playing the Patriots, which makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah,
as I share the
really
same
nervous about that
with my team as BMAC and Pete so kindly laid out. I don't trust them.
Nope, just don't trust the Jags right now.